active and defending.
I think it's like
people deluded. I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
Early morning shift. People deluded. I'm back again. As usual, one love for tuning in. Please smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications if you haven't. God bless to you. If you're new here, you know what to do. If you're part of the furniture, appreciate you lot for tuning back in again. Let's see what news is concerning Arsenal Football Club. As we know, the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. Nonetheless, we're about to play Barcelona in the early hours of Thursday morning. So I'm in for a late shift. So I thought, let me start. At the time of making this video, it's 7:21 a.m. As you can see in front of me, allegedly reports out of an Italian publication on a club, in England about signing a Brazilian 23-year-old. Again, football is international, but you do sometimes have to look at where the initial news has spreaded. Arsenal will close the transfer of Bitello from Guillermo for around 8 million euros this week. Now, we have been linked with him for a while now. We have been linked with him consistently. Is that my alarm? Sorry about that, folks. But as I was it actually is my alarm. When you're up before your alarm, it's a madness. So yeah, sorry for the difficulties. But yeah, in relation to Bitello, we've been linked with him for a few weeks now. So there might be some credibility. Many people will say, oh, you know what? He's not a known entity. He's not a known quality. I don't know the man. I've watched literally a couple of 90-minute games since we've been linked with him. You all know the clips on WeScout and YouTube and things. You can see why Arsenal allegedly are interested. He's got a good passing range. He's a strong dribbler. He plays with his head up. He is fairly adaptable. He's 23 years of age. Now, when you read some reports, apparently he actually won't qualify for a work permit for a move to England. Now, Arsenal can obviously appeal that and get around it, and then he can be part of ultimately Mikel Arteta's squad, assuming we signed him in some part. But at the same time, if he doesn't, then he'd have to be loaned out. So is this somewhat a development signing? Someone that, could be, we turned that 8 million into 18, into 28, into 38, and so on and so forth, a bit like Marquinhos. Obviously, Martinelli is the poster boy of signing unknown quantities. I want to say Martinelli was unknown because he kind of was to us football fans, but if he's been on trial at Barcelona and Manchester United and maybe a couple of other clubs before he's ended up at Arsenal, then I have to doubt the credibility of such. And you have seen, when you make good for years, less so much in Arteta's reign. Arteta's success to miss ratio with signings, as you know, has been a lot better. Obviously, he has to hold the Maries, the Williams, the Cedrics, technically, Tavares, Lokonga, Fabio Vieira, the jury's out. But, the Ramsdales, the Jesuses, the Zinchenko's, actually, it's not his signing, but when to play Martinelli, when to play Smith Rowe, reintegrating Saliba, and all the other signings that he's brought in, Declan Rice, the success ratio has been a lot better in that regards. So if Arteta wants him, for me, that's good enough, really and truly. I just doubt the credibility of such. And again, many people say, oh, it's not a star, it's not a sexy signing, it's not someone that can bring us closer to the Premier League title, which they might be true. But in a day and age where Arsenal for a couple of years have made the wrong decisions, costly, Pepe's and things like that. We signed Martinelli for 6 million. We signed Saliba for 27 odd million quid. Saka came from the academy. Think about how much money that obviously saved us. In relation to my point earlier, you could probably throw Ramsdale and Benjamin White in there. Everyone had a lot to say about them signings. Now everyone can see while there's improvements for both players to make more. So Ramsdale, in my opinion, they're two quality players. So, I mean, based on the fact that we need a central midfielder, probably need someone that's more of an 8, someone that's a bit more attacking, which is him. Obviously, the Brazilian links with what we've done with Martinelli and Edu, we're always going to get linked with these emerging talents, people. So we have to see. Allegedly, Arsenal are inching closer to signing Brazilian midfield talent Bitello from Guillermo, with the Gunners set to pay around 8 million. That's according to Tuto Meccano Web. Arsenal are set to sign the midfielder, with the transfer expected to be concluded shortly. Arteta won't see the 23-year-old South American ace a ready-made starter just yet, meaning the midfielder may have to bide his time, possibly even go out on loan. At 23 years of age, you're not expected to be the finished article, but there is certain elements of your game that you need to have brushed up. Obviously, again, physically, he'd need to adapt to the pace, the intensity of the Premier League and stuff, but if he's not ready at 23 to be integrated in some capacity into the first team, is probably a myth. And for me, he's a bit like Smith Rowe, Havertz, Fabio Vieira, probably missing out one at Arsenal in that they can play a number of roles, but he is fairly versatile. We've obviously been linked with Elise and Kudus as well. it seems like Lavia and Caicedo were stepping away from that. But where this guy's concerned, people, apparently he's impressed Arsenal scouts for some time. Guillermo reportedly want 10 million for him, and we've agreed to pay 8 million. So we'll have to see exactly what's going to happen there, people. But we could, as it says here, we could also send him out on loan to help him adjust to European conditions and decide on the next course of action. So maybe that's a development signing, a profit maker. If he develops and shows he can be used in Arsenal's first team, why not? Apparently, we found the breakthrough in talks with Guillermo, as said, people. But crucially, there are doubts that the Brazilian currently qualifies for a UK work permit. So that means, he might follow on the Samuel Galindos, the Carlos Velas, the Wellington Silvers, the Joel Campbells, these kind of players that went on a couple of loans in Spain before they obviously qualified for such people. So it is what it is. But for what it's worth, he got 7 goals and 4 assists in 35 outings for Guillermo, people. He's actually played on the right-hand side for them as well. So, yeah, he can play as a 10 and 8 and out wide. That's something Kudus can do. That's something, to a degree, Fabio Vieira has done as well. So maybe that's that, people. And it's his current first ever season in the Brazilian top flight. So despite being 23 years of age, he is quite inexperienced. Apparently, people, his defensive contributions, which are as important to a Mikel Arteta system, are quite strong. He scores 1.8 tackles and 6.9 duels per game for Guillermo in the Brazilian Serie A. So that tells you there's actually something to like about him. I mean, the in the nose of this world seem to be quite conflicted where you look at Kudus, people. Con Marble Halls has said, and again, I'm not, no shade, not saying they know or don't know, just tells you everyone's got a clue in it, everybody's got a source. He said, as things stand, Arsenal are not exploring the deal for Mohamed Kudus. And again, you look at someone else, Team News and Tick says, I don't know if we'll get him, but dialogue has been happening for a long time. Apparently he's been speaking to other clubs for a long time. I mean, Hand of Olzo has said, Arsenal and Ajax early talks over Kudus progressed very well this week. This is not the first time we've spoken to the players' agents. The deal is not dependent on sales, but Arsenal may prefer to get sales sorted first. Felix is still in the picture as of today. Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed so far. This takes me back to what I said in the video before. I think when you saw the initial language with Arsenal, when it was Declan Rice and Caicedo and things, we was bringing in 2 midfielders regardless. Then it kind of changed to we kind of need to rely on the Partey's and the Xhaka exits. And now apparently we need to sell before we can buy. I think there's a difference. I don't think we need to sell before we can buy. As I said on my last video, I think it's a thing Arsenal said, you know what? We want to get our 3 key targets. That is Kai Havertz, Timber, and obviously Declan Rice. We get there, we cool off for a bit. You get them in early, you gel with what Arteta demands of you. We take some time to breathe, and then we choose to focus a bit more on outgoings, which is a big part of what we need to do. We've got new contracts signed, we've brought in new players. Probably need to dedicate some time towards getting players gone. Bearing in mind, we are approaching August, but we are still in July, and then we might make this. We might look to bring players in. Clearly, we're not going to go for Caicedo. I don't think we're going to spend the 50-odd million on Declan Rice. I mean, we're obviously going to spend whatever on Declan Rice, on Lavia. So that's them 2 called out. I would like Kudus. I mean, you go back to the December period, the Athletic were reporting Arsenal have an interest in him. So there's got to be some credibility, really, in that regards. Arsenal to act as Chelsea meet Elise buyout clause in Crystal Palace deal. Arsenal expected to act after Chelsea's move for Crystal Palace midfielder Elise. As you know, he suffered a knee strain during the Euros 2021. Chelsea have met the £35 million asking price and hope to wrap up the deal quickly. Football.London says Arsenal could yet act after learning of Chelsea's attempt. Allegedly, Edu is a fan of Elise and his versatility. And I think we all are, but I think there's an admiration for Lavia, Caicedo, Elise, but I just don't think we're going to move for any of them. I do think we'll move for Kudus, but I don't know anything really. We've been linked with Disasi, who plays for Monaco, and we've been linked with him for a few years. I don't know if Arsenal are going to sign another right-sided centre-back, but who knows? You've got Timber, you've got Benjamin White, you've got Tomiyasu, who can all play there. You've got the great partnership of Saliba and Gabriel in the defence. Kirill is a left-sided centre-back, but he's shown he can play left-back. He's shown he can play on the right-hand side if need be. Declan Rice at a push could be used there, even though you want to see him exclusively used in midfield. So I wouldn't be against bringing in another centre-back. I just can't see it much less for 40 million euros in this market, where if we're going to invest again significantly or to some degree, surely it's got to be, the Kuduses, the Bitellos, players that are quote unquote versatile but can play in the middle of park if required, or some genuine midfielders really, despite the fact that, we've spent over 100 close to 200 million on midfielders, really, and Havertz and Declan Rice, or, 100 million and some change. So we'll have to see in that regards. Arsenal and Chelsea are battling for Ajax midfielder Kudus, as it says here. Arsenal and Chelsea are battling for the Ajax midfielder. The London rivals are set to go head-to-head for the Ghana international. He's ready to leave Ajax this summer and has talked up a move to England. He has also been linked with Brighton and saw either last summer or the summer before, did he not have a move to Everton ruled out? Allegedly, the 22-year-old's versatility is attractive to both clubs as they seek to cover in midfield and attack. Ajax are attempting a starting price of 40 million to sell Kudus. I think that's a good bit of money spent, really. De Zerbi spoken about Caicedo. I don't know why I'm keeping an eye on Caicedo, but there's no deadline for resolving things. I'm happy if Caicedo stays, but we'll play without him as well. We have to be ready to find another midfield if he leaves. He'll play versus Brentford in the second half. Yunus Musa, who was a former Arsenal lad and went to Valencia, could be close to joining AC Milan. As Fabrizio Romano says, personal terms were agreed 1 month ago. He wants Milan at all costs, and there's a lot of quote-unquote British players there. I know he plays for America, but you get the point. On Lavia, their Southampton coach Martin said, despite the talks that Liverpool are trying to sign him, apparently he said he has got a lot going on in his head. Not easy for a young player to handle the noise, but he's handled it very well. Latest news is very public. He may still be here, he may not. And Southampton face the prospect of losing Ward-Prowse to West Ham, Lavia probably to Liverpool. This is the cost of getting relegated, really, and maybe even Lavia to Newcastle, even though I think it's worth Lavia Livramento staying at Southampton, after his injuries and completing a full season, really. But this is it. It seems like Liverpool are to get their man. So in relation to Bitello, Caicedo, Kudus, Lavia, we've discussed everything. Let me know your thoughts, people. Smash the like button, comment, like, and subscribe. Check out the other videos, including the tactical analysis. And before you know it, I'll be back again. Hope you're all having a great start to your day or week or whatever. Hope you and your loved ones are in good health. One love.
Always that active defending.